Some big news today on PPP loans. More small businesses and independent contractors will be eligible. This is straight from the president today. This just came out. We also have new PPP data on who's been approved so far. But this is big news if you are a sole proprietor or a small business. Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip. I hope you're doing well. It's Monday, February 22nd. I hope your Monday's off to a great start. Quick video update today on this big PPP news. There's a lot to talk about here, and I'm also going to mention the new EIDL grant funding that is in the new legislation. I will talk about that briefly. I covered it in detail in yesterday's video. Without further ado, let me dive into the biggest news first, and I want to set the scene here first with this nice piece from Stacey Cowley, who's been writing about PPP loans for the Times for the past year. Fraud checks and errors slow small business relief loans. Okay, basically she reports on the frustration that many of you have been commenting on in the YouTube comments and on our blog and on our app. There are still problems plaguing the PPP loan process. Some applications have been stalled for weeks because of typos, because of overzealous fraud filters, a change of taxpayer identification rules snarled many freelancers and sole proprietors. That could be you. And then there was the thousands of people turned down because they were erroneously registered as having a recent criminal conviction. One quote here, "It's been a nightmare," said Martha Thero, who spent hours battling 3 levels of customer service support at her bank in an attempt to get a loan for his physical therapy business. So that's setting the stage for all the frustration that many of you are having and have been having. We did a poll this morning. We asked this question: if you have applied for a second PPP loan, have you received it? Yes or no? 26% of you said yes, you've received it. 74% have said no, you are still waiting to get your PPP loan. That's in line what we've seen on our app as well. It's frustratingly slow. We know many of our partner lenders, by the way, if you haven't applied, now is a good time to apply, especially because the news I'm going to tell you in a minute is improving things for businesses under 20 people. But you can go to trackpploan.com, or we have 2 other partner lenders in the description of this video. So if you are thinking about applying, links are in the description. Here's why things are changing today. This is what the Times has said: to help tiny companies, the Biden administration adjusts the rules for PPP loans. Here is what they are doing. This is the fact sheet straight from the White House. Their preface is that small businesses account for 44% of U.S. GDP, create 2/3 of new net jobs, and employ nearly half of America's workers. These struggling businesses, many of you watching our channel and subscribing, and I thank you for that, are struggling to make ends meet, and you're still waiting for PPP loans, whereas the big companies are getting the loans quicker. So the administration has done the following, and they just announced this today. Starting this Wednesday, they are instituting a 14-day period during which only businesses with fewer than 20 employees can apply for relief through the PPP program. 98% of small businesses have fewer than 20 employees. And most of the PPP loans are going to smaller businesses. You know, this is the latest data that came out this morning, actually. 72% of all PPP loans in this round are 50K and under. Add another 12% between 50 and 100K. So that means that 84% of all PPP loans in this round are 100K or less. Yet many of you are still waiting. So that is why the White House has put this out today, this 14-day period where you will have priority. If you have a business less than 20 employees, you will have priority. And I think what we're going to see in a few days is that this is going to change. We're going to see that this 26% number hopefully will go up to half of you or more. We will run this poll again end of the week to see how much this has changed. The second thing in this White House press release is they will help sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals receive more financial support. These types of businesses, which include home repair contractors, beauticians, small independent retailers, make up a significant majority of all businesses. Of these businesses, those without employees are 70% owned by women and people of color. Yet many are structurally excluded from the PPP or were approved for as little as $1 because of how PPP loans are calculated. To address this problem, here's the solution. The Biden-Harris administration will revise the loan calculation formula for these applicants so that it offers more relief. This is great news. They're going to revise how loans can be calculated and establish a $1 billion set aside for businesses in this category without employees located in low and moderate income areas, LMI areas. Now, that's good news on the surface. Of course, many of you will see this similar tricky language here, low and moderate income. As we know, with the EIDL grants, this low income criteria is terrible for many of you. Many of you are low income. You just don't happen to qualify as being in a low income area. You can always check on our app. Of course, it's free in the App Store. Hello Skip, or trackeidlgrant.com. Speaking of EIDL grants, as I mentioned yesterday, in the new $2 trillion stimulus package, well, $1.9 technically. There is $15 billion set aside for more EIDL grant funding. We did a write-up on it on our blog, but it goes over the specific details. $15 billion has been set aside. The funding is still only for covered entities, aka the low-income provision again, which is what Biden and Harris are mentioning for the PPP loans. Then 2 groups will be eligible for an additional $5,000 if you are severely impacted or if you are substantially impacted, and that's based on having 10 or less employees and your revenue decline. But if you fall in these categories, you can get an additional $5,000 in EIDL grant funding. So that's on our app and blog if you want to take a look. I will also leave a link in the description. What's nice about this is that it includes moderate income. So hopefully that will include many more of you who are left out of the EIDL grants, the targeted EIDL grants, because you don't qualify as low-income area. We'll keep an eye on that. The third thing this news today mentioned is consistent with a bipartisan bill. This will eliminate an exclusionary restriction that prevents small business owners with prior non-fraud felony convictions from obtaining relief through PPP program. So basically, more people who need help will be eligible unless you've committed fraud and been convicted for it. The fourth thing here is that it will eliminate an exclusionary restriction that prevents small business owners who are delinquent on their federal student loans from obtaining relief through PPP. That's another way to increase who can get PPP funds. And the fifth thing here, ensure access for non-citizen small business owners who are lawful U.S. residents by clarifying that they may use individual taxpayer identification numbers to apply for relief. So those are 3 big things that I want to point out here at the end of this legislation. First, 14 days, you will have priority if you have 20 or less employees. Second, the rules for sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals will change, and there will be more money set aside if you are in a low to moderate income area. And lastly, eligibility is increased unless you've committed fraud, but if you're delinquent on student loans, you won't be excluded. And if you are a non-citizen small business owner, you will be included in this as well. So these are great 5 changes. Additionally, they're also doing more changes to help address waste, fraud, and abuse across all federal programs. They're promoting transparency and accountability by improving the PPP loan application. They're improving the emergency relief digital front door and continuing to conduct extensive stakeholder outreach to learn more about challenges and opportunities in the implementation of current emergency relief programs. Maybe we should reach out and offer to help. And they're enhancing the current lender engagement model. So this is amazing news today. I don't want to talk about too much else because I just want this to sink in. If you've applied for a second PPP loan, 75% of you have said you're still waiting. This is good news. This will hopefully speed up PPP loans getting approved for you, assuming you're not a 300-person business. Secondly, if you haven't applied, you may be eligible. So keep those things in mind. And don't forget to download our app for the latest information, not only for PPP lenders, but also for EIDL grants. It's HelloSkip in the App Store. It's free, and we have more grant options for you if you want to be on the list. Our team is researching new grants every single day across cities and states across the U.S. If you want access to those, you can get those on the app as well. I want to end today's video on this good news. Again, the 7-day rolling average is 66,000. Deaths are down 1/3 and hospitalizations are down 1/3 as well. All very good news. We'll keep you posted here on all this, and all the links I mentioned are in the description. As always, thank you so much for subscribing. Stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you tomorrow.